Welcome to the Unexpected Podcast. This is Justin Malacese, and today's guest is Jordan Blackwood, who's got a very interesting experience from a marketing and SEO and all social media type of conversation. But welcome, Jordan. How are you?
Thank you, Justin. Glad to be here. I'm doing well, man. It's been a good week.
Listen, you're in Tallahassee, the nice sunshine state out there. We're in Chicago. We like it cold over here. So
Yeah, yeah. It's we definitely kind of got bipolar weather here right now. It's 87 degrees. It's nice and sunny. We have long summers and winters that alternate from being maybe 20 degrees to being in 90 something, and that can alter from day to day, really.
yeah, yeah.
So we really never know what the weather's going to be like here.
I hear you, man. America's beautiful. So listen, we're gonna get started on this question. And before we talk business, really, can you tell us who was Jordan Blackwood when you were age 12?
Oh gosh. Let's see. I was in uh fifth grade, going into sixth grade. I was definitely a very shy kid. I did not have many friends. I really didn't talk to many people. I mostly just tried to go to school, do my work, make sure I didn't get in trouble, do what my teachers told me to do, and then I went home.
Hey,
And that was pretty much
that's a
it.
good schedule at 12, man, because that's where everybody gets in trouble. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, my time to act up and be crazy was outside of school. So or at home or with my cousins or something like that. But at school, that was the time where all eyes were on. I mean, I knew that if I messed up, I would get in trouble at school and I'd get in trouble at home. So
hey,
I didn't play that.
no, it sounds like you had good parents. Tell me about your
Yeah.
parents. Who
Yeah.
raised you?
So I was adopted at a young age at around 3. I was in foster care before that. Ironically, with the my foster family ended up adopting me essentially. So I tell people that I was born to Blackwood, even though that's technically not true, but it kind of is. Um, but I was definitely my mom was a single parent, never married, never had a dad, but she was an educator. So she was a pre-K teacher. So we had all kinds of books around the house. I got to go to the library every single weekend, just about. And she really encouraged me to learn as much as I could, to think critically, to have my own opinions about things, and really just explore and study. And I ended up kind of being known as the smart kid in school. And yeah, it served me very well.
No, absolutely. I think I know the answer to this question, but when did you first realize that words had power?
Um, I think that was really in um, probably my senior year of high school. I had a AP literature teacher, and she was kind of like a kind of hippie sort of. But there were a few times that we had to write certain things in class, and she always just said what a good writer I was. And I didn't really think much of my writing skills. When I was in middle school, I did an essay for Christmas, and I submitted it to a Christmas contest with the local newspaper here, and I ended up winning. And it got published in the newspaper.
Congratulations.
And then
Well
I
done.
think my mom told me the other day I did a Tropicana speech. Maybe it was some other speech contest that I ended up getting a good mark on. Um, I totally forgotten about that, but it didn't really come back until my senior year of high school when I started getting those compliments from my AP Lit teacher. Um, and I didn't really know. what I wanted to do when I went into college, and so uh, I was told by others like, you're a good writer. You should go into English, and so I took that as a degree, and I majored in English with the minor in communications, and so here I am.
That's excellent. Was there a book, a writer, or a mentor that changed your life? That you can say this event or this book or this person truly
Hmm.
changed my life.
Hmm. Yeah, I had to say, if I was only going to pick one, I think it would be C.S. Lewis. Honestly, he wrote. Um, he was a very prolific thinker and writer in a lot of different ways, not just about faith, but about the human experience in general. He wrote a lot about friendship. He was a part of a group, and I can't think of it, but there's a tavern in England somewhere that he and J.R.R. Tolkien and a couple of other big names at the time had a group called the Inklings, and all they would do is just discuss history. They would discuss politics. They discuss philosophy, and then they would share they bring their own writings to each other, and they would critique each other back and forth. And I've really just enjoyed the way that his worldview on things, but also his the way he weaves in philosophy and creative writing to get points across, and that's what inspired me. Not only with the Freeman Wire, but then also with my own creative works. So my latest book, Coming Home: A Journey into Identity and Belonging, is it's broken up by allegory and memoir and then application. And the allegories, I was inspired pretty greatly by the Chronicles of Narnia and some of his other books to explain some of the Christian themes in the book.
That's excellent, and it's a great choice. C.S. Lewis has impacted so many people, and I'm sure
Yes,
more generations he will as well.
yes, absolutely.
From an allegory perspective, my favorite one, at least that guides me, is the allegory of Plato's cave. I'm
Hmm.
not sure if you're familiar with it.
Yes, I am.
It forms the basis of my book, The Manufacturing of Poverty. So I like that we understand how powerful allegories are from a writing perspective. But
Hmm.
from your perspective, what makes great writing different from average writing?
I think really understanding who you are as a writer. Every single writer has a voice, and that voice needs to be developed and understood. And that can only be done by you.
Right.
Um, and I think that um, really kind of understanding what your story is and how you want to communicate it is so key. Because there's a lot of writers out there that sound kind of like each other. And because of that, and especially with AI being as prevalent as it is now, I think that the individual writer's voice is going to become that much more valuable, because people are going back to ascribing to this particular writer and the way this particular writer communicates this idea.
Great.
So understanding I think what your voice is very key. And then also learning how to show, not tell. And I know that that's maybe a cliche advice that you get in school. It took me a long time to learn how to do that correctly. But what a trick that I learned is just learning how to engage the five senses. So if you go into a place, really anywhere, think about what you're seeing, think about what you're smelling, think about what you're touching. What does this feel like? What does this smell like? What does this look like? And I think that's a great way to kind of start. And then from there, you can say, okay, well, this touch reminds me of this, or this sight reminds me of that. Um, and then from there, as you kind of develop that out, it will get it'll get easier.
I love it. That's great advice. Especially for people who didn't take formal writing courses and
Mhm.
understanding of how that craft is done. Which leads me to the next question. What do you think businesses, or what mistakes do businesses commit while they're trying to communicate with their clientele or their market base? Uh, what have you seen businesses get right, and what have you seen businesses get wrong?
I think that something that I've noticed, especially with email marketing, is how salesy a lot of copy comes across. And I know that you tend to expect that when you get, obviously, when you're getting a email from a business that's trying to sell you something, you're going to expect, something to sound
An
salesy.
offer, right?
But right, right. And I think that that's important to have. But I think what again is what really connects with people are stories now. And I tell people, let's think about how, instead of just focusing on your product, how can we tell the story of this brand? Because um, especially when it comes to, let's say, toothbrushes, right? You can put in all the work to say that we have, we use a specific material for these bristles, and we have a specific mechanism for this electric toothbrush. But at the end of the day, it's a toothbrush, right? And so I think more and more people are really wanting to learn about the face behind the company and the story of how a product was made.
Is it
That's what's going to resonate with people.
is it
Like
how
saying that someone had a problem and this is how they decide how they found a way to fix it.
I see. I see. Because it helps your audience, whether they're your customers or however you define an audience, it helps put themselves into the shoes of the client, the customer journey, and
Mm-hmm,
experience whatever you're offering can help them feel, rather than I get this number of features for this particular
mm-hmm.
product. Is that right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and I think that also um, maybe if you do have a larger company, telling the story of different people in your company, if they're open with that. So just to emphasize, like, hey, we are real people behind lives, and we are all committed um, to upholding this brand and supporting this brand and making it the best that it can be.
Would your assessment apply both to for-profit businesses and nonprofit businesses? Would
I
charity have
think
to do different and a different take?
I think that nonprofits, especially, have to lean harder on the story side, but they kind of have an advantage there because people are expecting a story.
Mm,
Because since you are, especially if it's charity based, people need to have a reason to give their money and not get anything, back except a promise. Like, you're going to give us, $100 for this, and we promise that these funds are going to go to help this child in need, or this dog, or this uh, whatever. And I think that for profit, um, I think it's I think it's okay to maybe to have not so much of a story right at the beginning, but I do think that if you're not going to do that, and you need to quickly pivot to the story. I think it really depends on a lot of factors, on your product, on your team, on there's so many factors that I can't think of
right,
right now.
right. No, I
But
totally understand.
I think that I I think the approach to stories is going to be different depending on whether you have a for-profit or a nonprofit. And I think it's just up to the team to figure out exactly how they're going to communicate that.
Okay. If you were to grow a business from zero with no advertising budget, how would you go about doing that?
That is a hard one. Um, I would say, for one, maybe I would say start with writing, honestly. Start getting your thoughts out there. Maybe open a Substack. Substack is a great place to get um, your words in front of different people, and then also in front of people that may be willing to share your work with others. There's a great community on Substack of writers, um, and I think I normally I would say get on social media, get on Facebook, and um, you know do that. But I would honestly say that you might want to think about just developing a writing habit, trying to push out your articles to groups that would be interested on either Facebook groups or Reddit or wherever. Offer value first before you offer a product, and that will kind of build up a reputation around your name and around your business before you launch, so that when you do launch, people will say, "Oh, yeah, this is that guy that wrote about DeFi or about IT or whatever." Hey, oh wow, he's got a product out. Cool, I'll have to go check it out. And it's a very low pressure way to do that.
Right. So um, you're essentially building trust first.
Yes.
Trust in the name, trust in the craft, whatever you're
Hmm.
saying, trust in a storyline that they can buy in, even if it's on a small scale. So that when you introduce a product and you make an offer, it's a warm lead rather than a cold lead.
Yep.
And you're
Yeah.
likely to convert, bring some money in that you can then put towards an advertising budget. Does that make
Right. Right. Yeah. Absolutely. And I've done cold emailing myself. I've done that many times. It rarely works. At least for me, it hasn't. Maybe I'm
I've
doing
been
something
there.
wrong.
I understand.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very, very difficult to do. Because the first thing that people will see is, oh, this is a scam, and if you write it in a poor way, then you'll think, oh, this is a scam from another country. Um, and it's very hard to to do that if you're not launching into a community of people that already kind of want what you're offering.
You know, I face this even with LinkedIn. The way I grow potential guests and audience, I'll reach out to folks on a cold basis. They have an interesting profile, and I'll send a message. The last guest I had, Bart Mason, says, I usually just get a bunch of sales messages when I connect with people, but yours was different. And as
Yeah.
soon as she said that, I
Yeah.
went back and I must have read that message 10,000 times to try to figure
Yeah.
out how did I mistakenly become different from everyone else who she's getting. And so sometimes you stumble into it and then you go back and say, okay, it was an honest message, but how did I design it and how can I frame this on a go forward basis to establish more trust to cold leads and
Right. Right.
differentiate myself from everybody else who's reaching out to these folks.
Yeah, and I think that right now, I think a lot of people know that they need to do that, but the issue is scale. AI is, I think AI is going to help a lot. But again, I think it'll be very important to make sure that you're using a program that is super tailoring to your voice, um, and that means feeding it a lot of content before you even attempt that, so that it doesn't come off as sounding exactly like AI or have those hyphens in it that are the
Dash,
tell itself.
dash.
Yeah, the dashes, the hyphen dashes. Yeah. But yeah, I think there's a lot of traction and progress being made in that space. Um, I personally used a software called Type.ai, which I believe they have a monthly plan for $8 a month. But I've spoken with the founders, and they're still developing it. It's a fantastic tool that helps you do just that. You feed it um, stuff that you've already written, and you can feed it different writing styles. And then they also have on the side, they've got a chat feature that connects directly to Claude or Chat GPT,
Okay.
so that you can, as you're writing, you can talk directly to AI and say, hey, what do you think of this passage? Or um, change the wording of this. And you can do it right in the program, and it's just seamless. You're not having to switch back and forth between tabs. But that's a great program that I use. I use it all the time. Um, and I think that as I said before, understanding your voice as a writer is going to be, even more key. I think it's going to be something that more people are going to have to start thinking about.
That's brilliant. I just took notes here. I'm going to look up those guys and see, test it out and see how it works out. Thanks for that advice
Sure.
for our
Yeah.
audience. When it comes to marketing, how much of marketing is psychology um, versus technology from a strategic perspective as well as deployment perspective?
Um, I think it's hard to say because AI has taken over so much right now. It's and I know that a lot of businesses are using AI for their marketing things, but I guess really I would say that strategy is still very important. And the reason I say that is just because when you are working with AI, um, it's very easy to give it a prompt um, that is going to cause you more headaches than help. And so I think there's benefit in understanding what prompt to give AI that's going to fit what what you're looking to accomplish. Um, I still think that I think that finding the right tools are also very important. I'm always on the lookout for tools that are more affordable, that can do the same thing as another tool can. But then also thinking about what my needs are, because I think a lot of these companies um, are are trying to um, offer um, everything under the hood for an outrageous price because they want to collect as many people as possible.
Correct.
But
Yes.
I think that there is a benefit in kind of niching down a little bit and saying we've made this product for this person dealing with this problem. Um, and so, but at the same time, it really depends on what your goals are. Because, like I said, if your product it's a toothbrush, everyone needs a toothbrush. Everyone needs to brush their teeth. Um, like you're not selling a toothbrush to alligators. You're selling it to human beings, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I think that it really just depends again on your product and on your brand. But I think that I would start absolutely with strategy and then really think about from there, like what products, or excuse me, what tools can we use, and um, what is our uh, what is the process that we are going to use to sell this product, and how can this technology help us in that?
Great. Great. No, that's excellent. Tell us about email BXR. What problem are you trying to solve?
Yeah, so email bxr is really just my um, freelance consultant gig. I'm really just trying to help businesses that are struggling with engagement. So businesses that say we have an email list, we have customers, but people are not opening our emails. People are not engaging on social media, um, and we need a way that we can get more eyeballs on our stuff. Um, and again, that kind of goes back to stories. So telling a brand story, and whatever way you can. So there's nothing more frustrating than having loyal customers and loyal clients, and then losing them because all of a sudden your your open rates and your click through rates fell off, and you don't really know why. So that's kind of the problem that I kind of look to solve there.
Okay. At what point did you decide, or what made you, or prompted you to want to build something of your own?
Well, really, it was I was really kind of just frustrated with kind of the lack of 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 niching down with email tools that I saw, because again, most of them are around creating these great big email newsletters that people they expect people to open every single day. And I was kind of so one of the services that I offer is, instead of having a consistent newsletter daily, weekly, whatever, I offer a way to have a quick burst campaign. So maybe 3 day, maybe 5 day, maybe 7 day. I tend to not do more than 5 days because that's a lot. But I my theory is that if someone is given or excuse me, is told that like, hey, on this day we're gonna give you we're gonna send you a few emails about a story about one of our clients or about one of our products or whatever. Something like that would have way more engagement than just a consistent daily email that you may get tired of or forget to open or whatever. And I just think that kind of creating episodic content like that. A lot of people think of that with videos. You'll see that on YouTube, like or on podcast, and that's great. But I think a lot of people kind of forget that way before the internet, before TV, and the stuff, there used to be things called serials. I wasn't around for that, but a different history. So there were things called serials, and they were basically short stories that people got either weekly or monthly, that was a larger story delivered in bite-sized pieces. So people were looking forward to getting the next part of each story, whenever it released. And I think that we can put that same concept towards email.
So short bursts of a storyline. It could be their customers, why they're doing what they're doing if they're a nonprofit, but over several days, and each email, is a chapter of the story. Essentially, it's a piece of the story
Correct.
that keeps somebody engaged.
Correct.
And they're not seeing it as a salesy thing, more as a, let's see what happens in this story.
Right. And then it would
back
be
to in the future and read it all over again. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So it kind of becomes like, again, like a short story, or even a short, maybe not a short novel, but a short story.
Short story. Yeah. It's a good
sorts.
concept.
Yeah.
Very good
Yeah.
concept. Email BXR. Okay. What's exciting to you? What about entrepreneurship is exciting to you that most people never experience?
That's hard to say. Because I think that most people are like, yeah, I get to test out new ideas, and I get to do I get to try to get funding and things like that. But I think for me, it's more about how can I help people? What different ways can I use my gifts or this idea that I have to help someone? So I currently have a buddy right now that I'm doing some marketing for to help him start up a senior care business.
Great.
And it's been great. I mean, I know nothing about that industry at all. I'm learning about it through this, but I think for me, it's just I get kind of a thrill when I find a new tool, or I find a new way of doing something that maybe someone else hadn't thought of. And I don't say that out of pride. I just say that, like, oh yeah, like maybe this is something that would work for you. Maybe this is something that would be it would be faster or cheaper or more efficient for you. Um, and I found that a lot of people, I mean, even business owners just don't know it's out there. A lot of them are like, oh yeah, we've heard of this, and we just use this, and we just use that, or or whatever. And there's just so much out there. I mean, you really have to dig. But there's so many things out there, and there's so many startups, these little tiny startups that have these fantastic tools because they're little tiny. They don't have the same kind of cloud that some of these bigger ones do, but um, they do have you can develop like a relationship with them and really help them develop their product, and then also of course use their product. And I've been blessed to have that happen multiple times, and it's always been a great experience. So maybe keep your eye out for startups that are smaller, that are developing tools that your business needs, and just see how you can use it, and then also reach out to them and say, hey, like, we're using this tool, like we can trial run this for you and kind of help you work out the kinks, and then help you make this product better. And not only will you be helping them, but they'll consider you one of their first satisfied customers, and so it's a win-win for both of you.
Absolutely, especially if they get a testimonial after your experience.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Uh, what has been the hardest professional setback you've experienced, and how did you respond to it?
I think the hardest one was just trying to, at the times that I was trying to find clients. That was always happened many times, but it was always a very difficult time of just trying to cold email, or trying to pay some other freelancer to try to get me leads or whatever. But I think what helped me was just taking a step back and saying, you know what, I'm going to just start telling people that I have this service. And I'm not going to stress myself out about trying to find the right strategy, the right outreach strategy. And I'm just going to say, I'm going to do this, this, and this. I'm going to just stay consistent with it. And eventually I'll get a bite, like fishing. And it's not easy. That's a very hard strategy to do. And it's definitely it's definitely not quick. But most of the time I was working with a limited budget. So I didn't have the funds to spend on ads. But doing it this way, I was able to develop relationships with people and have stronger clients, because I did this slower, and because I built out my my kind of authority and my voice through writing and through relationship. And now I have stronger clients. Not many clients, but I have stronger clients.
That's what matters. Easy does it, and usually you'll build such a momentum that you'll still, the next client will be maybe 10 times bigger than your average client.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you get the real frustration of a good problem. You have money coming in.
Yeah.
Now you got to do the work. So now you have to expand and get a team and do all that good stuff, right?
Right. Yeah, and you never know when that point's just going to happen.
Oh, I'll tell you exactly when it's going to happen. You won't know when, but when it does, it's going to be a big whoosh. It's going to come suddenly,
Yeah.
and you're going to feel overwhelmed. But just
exactly.
remember
That's
to
exactly
breathe.
how it goes down.
Remember to breathe when that happens. Huh?
Right. Yep. 100%.
Because you're going from one level, now you're on a new level of expectations, and of course, hopefully more income for you and your business.
Right.
What
Right.
sacrifices have people not seen behind your success? People who know you have seen you grow. What sacrifices have you had to go through that most people would know about you?
Yeah. So I immediately think about writing, because writing, as much as I enjoy it, it can be stupid hard sometimes.
Yeah.
The just mulling over what you've written, going back and making corrections. And then realizing that, oh, this correction messed up this part, so I need to go back and fix this. And I think people don't realize just the amount of, I mean, even just writing an article. Again, thankfully, AI has made that a lot faster. And if you can plug in your voice and it can read it, but you still have to go back and make sure that it's flowing and it's working the way that you want it to. And that can be very tedious. And I know that, especially when it comes to business and the products, a lot of people are just seeing the finished product. They're not seeing, or the finished, service. They're not seeing the amount of work that it took to, put this stack together, make sure that the code was right, make sure that our customer service is working the way that it needs to, making sure certain workflow is automated. It's just a lot of work, and a lot of people don't, see that, and a lot of people don't care, and that's okay. So I think, again, making sure that people see that story, see the frustrations of even just, code not working, really kind of humanizes your business. And even if someone is like, I don't know that I really need this product, or, I'm not really thinking much about this product, then, they can read the struggle and say, well, gosh darn it, why wouldn't I support this company with everything they've been through?
Right.
And I think, kind of going back to writing, it's a lot of trial and error, and it requires a lot of, it's very much an art form. And I think there's a lot of things in business that's an art form, essentially, that people don't realize, just with the trial and error and the experimentation that you have to do, and then working with a budget, and then making sure you don't go over budget. And there's just all kinds of moving parts that I think people just don't see. But I think yeah, I think just the process of creating is something that people can overlook.
Yeah. Knowing what you know now, what advice would you give to your 20-year-old self? With the benefit of wisdom, hindsight.
Yeah. I would just tell him to be patient.
Yeah.
I would say just, yeah, this thing that you're working on, it doesn't make sense right now. It's not glamorous right now, but just keep at it. And eventually you'll get there. It took me, one of the reasons that I started my newsletter, The Freeman Wire, back in 2020, was because I realized that I needed to have a consistent writing habit, and I didn't. And I told myself, okay, well, having a weekly newsletter and people that are expecting to open it, it's going to create accountability for me to make sure that I had something out each week. And that was what really taught me kind of the grind of writing, because prior to that, I was just, I did have a historical fiction book that I had written starting right at graduation, and I didn't really know what I was doing. I was getting caught up in the research, and going back to editing and re-editing, and it took me literally years to write because I didn't know what I was doing. But I think just kind of trusting the process, I think that's very key.
No, it is, especially from a writing perspective, especially in today's age. 400 pages is a little too much for depending on the audience you're trying to reach, because most of the audience nowadays, the younger adults, they're not really reading as much as just watching videos.
Right. So they're not.
When you're trying to reach their attention and write towards them, you got to condense all your thoughts, and you want to show the processes and all the descriptions, and just bring it all the way down to a distilled version of what you want to communicate, so they can go in there, get what they're looking for, give the story, and move on. Because otherwise, that attention is no longer there that used to.
Right.
Writing perspective, that's a struggle.
Right. Yeah, and a lot of people
but I need to say it in this much space.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of people just don't read anymore. I'm actually having that problem right now. I'm creating an audiobook version of my book Coming Home because most of my friends and people in my circle are like, yeah, I want to read this story, but I don't read. Can you make an audiobook of it? And I was like, okay. Audiobooks are very expensive to produce. And so, okay, I get to find a cheaper way to do this because I can't afford thousands of dollars to have someone narrate this. Um, so yeah, I think that's I think a lot of people are just not really reading. I do think the attention spans have gotten shorter. So I think that maybe businesses would benefit from creating shorter written content if they can. Because I'll be honest, I do have I have way too many businesses that I subscribe to, and probably 90% of them I don't even open. Um, and I think my thing is I can't be the only one that it is like that. There's got to be plenty of other people that are like, I don't want to read all this right now, and even if it's short, I still don't want to read this right now.
Yeah.
So I think that businesses are should look into creating shorter form content, but that doesn't necessarily need to be video. It can also be writing, and I think it's a good idea to expand across the medium if you can. I know that's also a difficult thing to do. But something that I did find out is just from my friends and from family members is a lot of them asked me like, man, what is the writing process like? Like, what is like what's going on behind the scenes? Like, how did you craft this scene, or how did you craft that scene, or whatever? And I that's really not something that I thought about much because when I'm just in my zone, I'm like, how can I just kind of get this done? And the processes that I work through to get that done, I'm not like being really conscious of. Um, and so I was very surprised when I had a lot of friends that would ask me like, those questions. And I'm sure that would, for businesses, people maybe don't realize like people are asking how they develop this product, how they develop this service. And there is a place for businesses to meet those people in a short form way, and only their business can do that. You can't hire influencers to do that.
No,
It's got to come from your company.
absolutely. What concerns you most about the future of media and communication?
Um, I think I think the big thing that concerns me is just how much is going to AI. I'm seeing more and more ads that look like they were clearly made with AI, and they're just ugly. Um, and I think that people are going to start until AI gets to a place where you can't distinguish it from real content, which I think it's rapidly getting there. Um, I think that people are going to maybe start looking down on that. Um, like I know, for example, that recently there's been an exodus from Chat GPT, and there's been an exodus from some of the other smaller platforms because people are like, we're tired of the way this looks. And we're tired of getting these very kind of cliche responses. That's a whole other topic, but I think that and I told my friends this, I think there's going to be real value in work that you can say a human being made this.
Yes.
We had this artist create this, or we had this musician, or we had this employee, if you wanted to honor a specific employee. But I think that there's going to become more of a premium on things that were specifically made by a human being. And I think that things are going to slowly start trending there when people start realizing that we're kind of sacrificing quality a little bit when, or maybe not quality, but reputation a little bit, while having everything that we do be made with AI.
I'll tell you what, even, I have two boys who are, preteen, teenage years, and I'll be driving them to school or some event or just driving to the store, and you're listening to Spotify and the commercials come on. They quickly, I can't, but they quickly, within a split second, they can tell that voice that's speaking on the ads, they can tell it's AI.
Yeah.
By the cadence and how the pause, it's just not human, and they can detect that. And so
Yes.
with the new generation, or at least the intermediary generation, as we go through the age of AI, that is something companies should consider when they're deploying their dollars out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. And also, there's been a big shift to people that are wanting to do more in person things. Malls are starting to see a resurgence, just because Gen Z and younger are like, we don't want to be glued to our phones all the time. We actually want to go spend time around people.
Yeah, the human
um,
experience. It's
yeah,
it's sheep
yeah,
again, huh?
yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, it's such a fascinating transition, and I think a lot of times businesses are like, how can we do the most for the least amount of money? And AI is a very quick and easy answer to that. Um, I even have there's a local restaurant here in my town that their Facebook page was kind of dead for years. And now they've started to use what clearly looks like AI to make posts about their upcoming specials or whatever. And part of me is like y'all, like I could probably do a better job than this, but I don't know. I get a marketer or find a freelancer than instead of just trying to do this. And I understand that there's budget considerations and things like that. But again, like you said, quality and that human touch is something that I think is going to start being uh, more of a premium.
I agree. Finishing questions, and thanks again for your time. Who's the one person you would most like to interview and why? I mean, other than me, of course.
um, oh gosh, that is really hard. There's so many musicians that I'd like to interview, and some business owners that I'd like to interview. Maybe um, I don't really know. I think maybe Elon Musk would be interesting, just because he's had so much crap thrown at him for so
Right.
many years.
Right.
But he has made a lot of contributions to the nation. I feel like we have a resurgence in our space program because of SpaceX. Um, and we have a lot of good things from him. And I'm not saying that he's just wonderful all the time, but it would be interesting to see how he's kind of navigating the tension between public opinion and public scrutiny, with like, yeah, like I want to just go out and build this, or I want to go out and do that, um, and build something that will benefit society. Um, but yeah, I think him. Again, there's so many other people that I just can't think of right now. But yeah.
No, that's great. Now, Jordan, tell the audience something about Tallahassee, Florida, why it's such a great town, and why people should go visit it.
Um. Okay. So we have a lot of history in Tallahassee. We have a lot of Native American history here, and also um, Tallahassee is probably one of the few places in Florida that actually has hills. Um, and they're not mountains. They're not like high elevation. But I've always kind of gotten a thrill out of certain spots in town. If you stand in just the right spot, you can kind of look over the trees and feel like you're in the Appalachian Mountains or the Rocky Mountains for a split second. Um, if you're into football, we've got a crazy the Florida State Seminoles are here. The FAMU Rattlers are here, and game day for both of them is wild. If you like those wild college football parties, this is the place for it. And also, we're very close to golf beaches. So usually not more than an hour max from Tallahassee to get to a beach. And yeah, I mean, it's a good little spot. It could definitely use some growth. The city commission could do a little bit better, but that I'm speaking for as a local. But yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. Again, Jordan, tell us, remind the audience your company and how they can reach you for marketing services or
Sure.
any
So
other type of
my
topics.
company is Email BXR. That's EMAILBXR, one word.com. I also have my personal website, jordanblackwood.com. You can find links to my books and to my newsletter.
Excellent. Jordan, thanks very much for your time. This has been a great conversation on marketing, and I hope it results into a lot of business for you, but I've learned a lot here. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Justin.
Sir, yes, sir.